We are Steven and Jill. Together, we've been buying and reselling land since the 90s.
Our data-centric approach leaves our buyers asking, how can you sell it so cheap?
Here on the Land Academy Show,
We answer that and more. Steve and Jill here.
hello.
Welcome to the Land Academy Show, entertaining land investment talk. I'm Steven Jack Butala.
And I'm Jill Dewitt, broadcasting from sunny Southern California.
Today, Jill and I talk about how we created professional land investors from individuals with zero experience. I am just as intrigued and excited to hear about how we've done this.
Because you don't
As
know?
I listen, no, I don't. I don't know.
Oh, wait, all right. You're sister going, I don't know what happened. That's hilarious. You have no idea. No idea. I don't know. I just threw it up to see if it would stick, and it stuck.
That's part of it.
Okay.
Before we get into it, let's take a question posted by one of our members on the landinvestors.com online community. It's free.
Matt wrote, I've had some properties with funky old CC&Rs, which is conditions, covenants, and restrictions.
Good work, Jill.
Thank
Jeez.
you. I happen to have
This
lived.
makes me wanna-
What that is with it, if you live in an HOA, a homeowner association, or a POA, property owners association, they will often have these old rules and things about paint color and stuff like that. So, and he says, okay, so he's got these properties, and they're like from the 50s that say things like, you can't build without passing the architectural review. I've heard of that. Yeah. And almost certainly the review board is gone. That's hilarious. And also, they've like all died. Yeah. They also don't have if the review board doesn't reply within 30 days, then presumed it's okay type of language that bails you out of the defunct CC&R situation. It's hilarious. I also have a property that says a minimum of 100-foot setback from the front, but the neighbor's house is like 50 feet and was built after the CC&Rs took effect. So it's like not grandfathered. So the same set of CC&Rs says no pets. It's hilarious. Bottom line, this is so good.
This for land?
Could you imagine?
No pets on your land.
Right. So if I'm flipping the land and the CC&Rs are from the 50s, can I presume that nobody's is enforcing them and basically ignoring them? There are a few homes not obeying the 100-foot setback, and I guarantee someone in the subdivision has a pet. LOL. The properties are less than $30,000 market sales price. Well, here's my first point. I want to see who wrote this. Matt. I've never read them. I mean, did you need to go that far into it? Was there really a question that somebody asked you?
Well, this is probably on the acquisition side.
Yeah.
He's buying it, and he's got these CC&Rs. And
I'm like, why are you getting this far into it? So I guess this is true. If there is an HOA and they still exist and they do have these weird restrictions, it is important to know the major ones. I'd know the major ones. But then again, I'm wondering, based on what I'm reading here, if they're even still around. Are people still paying into it? Where does the money go? And who's answering the phone? So I'm guessing it's long gone.
Here, I have two examples of CC&Rs or HOAs. Number one, I bought a bunch of property in New Mexico one time, and I found out later it had there was an HOA. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to wreck this whole thing. So I looked, the first thing I did, and you should too, Matt, and everybody, is Google the thing, see if they exist, see if you can get a phone number, and I did. And I called them. And it was a woman, and I think she was cooking dinner at her home, and said, this is Jackie or something. And I said exactly what Matt said. I bought all this property in this HOA. What's the deal? She said, that hasn't been around for years and years. We don't worry about it. I wish you the best. Mm-hmm. And the opposite extreme is I bought a bunch of properties, same situation. They're quarter-acre properties. And they called the HOA, and they said, you can't build on any of these properties at all unless you have 3 of them, 3/4 of an acre, which destroyed my real estate investment. Fortunately, it wasn't a lot of dollars, and this is a lot of years ago. So here's the deal with the CC&Rs. They're like old tax returns. They should be irrelevant, but you might have to pay attention to them, and you don't know. It's like jaywalking. So you just can't tell. So you got to pay attention to these. I think in general, when you're new, you should stay out of HOA property entirely. You're getting it tangled in a web that you can't get out of. And here's a personal note.
Good idea.
here's a personal note. It's the CC&R, the HOA themselves, those aren't the Nazis. Those are the people that are like, they're trying to manage the checkbook, if there even is one.
Yeah, that's true. They didn't write the rules. They're not the attorney that wrote the rules.
They're complying with the purchases and sales, and they're collecting money and managing money. Right. And they're sitting around saying, should we cut the hedges this month?
Right.
The problem is the other people that are in the HOA. And I'll tell you, I'd pull a Jill and try to get their phone numbers and ask them. Find that if you're implying here that there's people that live there and their setbacks and their houses and stuff. If you go to Neighbor Scoop, get their phone number.
Call the people, the residents.
Call the people.
Call the actual homeowner who did that, built that. That's a good idea.
And say, hey,
what's the story?
Is somebody driving around in a yellow vehicle with lights on top, making sure your grass is not less than 2 inches long, and on and on and on. So the people will tell you immediately. They'll tell you, yes, we all want to, go over there and give them a peace of mind, or they're going to say, we haven't even heard from those people in 14 years.
Right.
But my advice is, if you're new, stay out of there.
That's a good one. That's an easy way
Jill
to call them.
Jill and I, would you say that's a deal-killing issue for us now? Will you buy CC&R property?
Sure.
You really doesn't look
totally.
of it?
Yeah,
okay.
Not at all. You know what? The only deterrent for me is how bad are the dues? How bad are the dues? It's really not about, because usually I see it as a good thing. Because you know what? If you're in a homeowner situation, there might be some nice amenities. They make sure the roads look good. They make sure the homes look good. So that can bring up the property value and not have, that's keeping, 14 cars in some state of repair in everyone's front yards. Making it a pretty thing to drive through aesthetically, just stuff like that. So I don't think it's a bad thing. What deters me is the fees are involved. I do like, and if it's really too much, I still don't even really care. Honestly, I do not get into the CC&Rs. I only want to know how much. How much does it cost when I transfer the property? Because I've been hit with that one. When I bought a property, I know I'm going to take over the homeowner association. Fine, it's $100 a month. Okay, I can wrap my head around that one. What I didn't prepare myself for one time was how much it cost to do that transfer. And they charged $2,000 every time. So when I bought it, it was $2,000. And when I sold it, it was $2,000. And I had to prepare my seller for that. And I had to account for that right in my sales price because they need, it's expensive. So that's really what I care about. And I'm afraid of HOAs. I don't like them for the fact that a lot of people don't want that extra $100 or $200 or whatever it is a month of the fees. Sure, it's great to have a clubhouse, but I don't want to pay $200 a month for it. And two, what if I'm holding on to this for 6 months while I'm trying to find the right seller? That's $1,200 I got to prepare for.
When have you ever heard a buyer, whether it's a home buyer or a land buyer, say this sentence? No, I don't want to look at that property. I want to look at the property that's got an HOA.
Right.
Ever.
That's not it.
Never. You've never heard anyone ever say that.
Right.
This clubhouse, now we've bled over to now personal.
Right.
From a money standpoint or investor standpoint, HOA properties are almost always bad. Apparently, and I just learned this about my life partner here, apparently she seeks out HOA property with the clubhouse and rules.
I don't see them. I'm just saying I'm not afraid of them.
I'm 180 degrees different.
Yeah.
I want freedom. If I want to put an RV in my driveway for 4 years, that's what I want. I'm going to do that.
I'm not afraid of them. What I'm looking for is it's easier to sell if it's easier to sell if there's no HOA.
Exactly.
Period. And then the second choice is if there is one, it's got to be $50 a month or less. Something silly like that. Maybe it's $39 a month to keep out the one gate at the front that has the name on it. Fine. Thank you.
Today's topic: how Jill created pro land investors from individuals with zero experience. This is why you're listening.
Why did you say it like that?
Because it's like I want to hear this too. I really do. It's an interesting. Some of these topics that come from customer service aren't topics I would choose.
It's not how I did it. It's how we did it.
Okay, how we did it.
Okay, so it sounds like you're trying to throw me under the bus here.
No.
Okay, we were coming up with topics. I asked the team, and they said, "This is what comes up a lot. People want to know how people went from zero to 60. How'd you get them from 0 to 60? So I'm like, I didn't think it was that difficult to figure out. But first of all, I'll say that the people that go from 0 to 60 that are successful were already successful. They were already good at what they did. And most of like our pro members, they've got some background in owning their own business, solving crazy problems, not being afraid to invest in some things, and just going for it and trusting. So basically, I'll say there's 3 things that answers this question. Number 1 is the obvious. It's a business model. And we sat down and put on paper, and you did more of it than me, because the majority is you. I just brought in the sales and the different parts that I came along and added to and tweaked and improved upon, hopefully you agree, later on, which is sales and things like that, and talking to people and talking to the sellers and the buyers and getting them to want to sell to you. But it's our whole business model. We put, it was at least a year by the time from conception to releasing, over a year, our whole thing. Filming just took 6 months. Writing and filming took 6 months. So, but we talked about and planned it out for a long time. And it's our whole business model, start to finish. Imagine having a secret handbook to something. Imagine saying, I want to have a credit card company, and being able to get American Express's handbook showing you how they became American Express, with all the steps from the little ones to the big ones, and growing the team and knowing when to do this and knowing when to do that, and due diligence and how to, everything. So that's what we did. Number 1, we all see the value in that. Number 2 is, I think what makes us unique too is we lead by example. We didn't just put it out there and walk away. Some people write books and then they're not doing what they wrote their book about. I'm like, why would I read your book and trust in you when you're not doing it yourself? I have a lot of questions there. But
well said.
Thank you. We the business model that we wrote down and we are forever tweaking is because we're doing it too. So we lead by example. I'm buying as we transition to houses, we transition to infill lots, we transition to mobiles. We're sharing the next parts of our business. Even like right now, Land Academy, we have 1.0 and 2.0. You're working on a 3.0, which is the changes that have happened now in 2020 and coming in 2021. How data's changed and what we look at a little differently, and pricing things, what really works, what doesn't work. There's a lot of things out there right now, by the way. I'll stop everyone right now. If you think there's a pricing easy button, you're going down the wrong path. And that's part of the stuff I know that you're working on in our new program. So that's the second thing. We lead by example. And the third thing, I think, is how we created pros and why we have pros like us is mentoring and helping. And I made a note, we mentor and help. You get, in our community, you get mentoring and help it's for everyone and it's by everyone. I just came up with that little thing. I'm like, oh yeah. Because we used to say for investors, by investors. But our mentoring is for everyone, by everyone. And what that means is I'm mentoring you. You're mentoring that guy. That guy's mentoring that guy. And it's a great big circle. I was in Bigger Pockets recently, which is a huge real estate forum. And I hadn't been in there in a while. I haven't been real vocal. And there are teams in there. They do things and they communicate with people. And I hadn't personally been in there in a little bit of time. And I went in there and I'm trying to help someone. And I really wrote a nice thing to help the guy. And I was very careful. They're real picky about wording and soliciting and everything. And I'm just really sincerely trying to help someone, saying, hey, here's what I do when I do direct mail. I would consider A, B, and C. Well, someone came along and just immediately attacked me. And I was so sickened and frustrated. And it was
Can you get into detail about this?
Sure. So this guy said, oh, you're one of those wholesalers. You probably never disclose that you don't take the title of the property. You incorrectly do this. And I wrote a book. You know what I did? He wrote 6 things down that he was 100% wrong. He went right into attack mode. And I copied and pasted his exact 6 things, and I answered him. I said, you know what? I do take title, and I can give you examples. I used to have examples here in Bigger Pockets, but Emin pulled them down because I put in properties where you can go and look them up online and see my name on the title. I'm not assigning. I'm not trying to slide anything in there. I'm not. He's like, you guys never put your necks on the line. I said, oh boy, do I. I buy it. I pay for it. If I screwed it up, it's on me. I really do follow through in all these things. So it's just, anyway, my point of bringing that up was we're not those people. And I got frustrated by that community. Like the direction that community has gone, I think is hurting a lot of people. And I'm like, you know what? I don't even want to play in your sandbox because I try to do something nice and you guys don't see it as nice. Like, forget it. I know how our people are, and we are not those people. And you know what?
Really
it took us 5 years. It didn't even take us 5 years. It wasn't even a battle. We just right out of the gate.
It's just who we are.
That's it. We right out of the gate are here to help, and it's received, and people help back. You can write any question you want in our community or bring it up any question you want on our live member calls. I'm never going to hold back. I'm not going to tell you you're doing something wrong or it's stupid. I'm going to help you and get you. And if it's on the wrong path, I'm going to nicely tell you, hey, let's look at it this way. This is going to work. And that's it. So I think those 3 things are why we have pros. We are helping each other, we mean it. We're getting better together. We're doing bigger and better deals together, and it's gone beyond the level that I thought was even possible.
Oh my gosh.
So
this went places that I never intended.
Thank you.
In fact, I don't even see where it's going to go. I was talking to somebody recently. I'm like, I don't know what this is going to be in 5 years.
Right.
Because this is not. It's all unintended consequences in a real positive way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like 98% positive and 2% negative, but that's everything. Mm-hmm. I have 2 big points. Number 1, I used to be in accounting, and I distinctly remember having a conversation with the partner that I was working with at the time because we were in a huge hiring situation. We were constantly getting more work than we could handle. And so he said, we're looking through resumes, and he's like, what do you think about this person? What do you think about this person? We've all been here. And I said, you know what? If we have to train somebody to do this job, we shouldn't hire them at all. Like, I don't believe that people need to be trained unless it's like some really specific job. I don't believe all this 2 months of training and this is how you talk to people. And I don't think that's just not my philosophy. And I believe that that's what goes on here. I'm happy. I don't train people like, let's say in flight school. You know, in flight school, it's like, all right, day 1, we're going to do this. Day 2, we're going to do this. Day 3 is
you
this,
mean like
this,
learning to be a pilot?
this, yeah.
Okay, pilot, that kind of.
That's not what this is.
Right.
And Jill and I have choice here. There's a person in our space that did a thing literally called flight school.
Right.
And it's over now. And it doesn't work. And it's for the reason that I'm saying. There are 2 stacks of resumes that we came up with in accounting. And the people that we believed, and we hired a lot of those people from my way,
right,
where we didn't believe that they needed to be trained. And you know what? They didn't. That's what some people call self-starters. And so I carried that philosophy on all throughout. I've always had a group of people in an office buying and selling real estate since the 90s, early 90s. My big second point is this. I had a creative writing class in college, and so they said, it all started with theory. Here's some theories about how to write, you know, the whole keyhole approach or the backwards keyhole approach. There's a lot of theories. We studied them. Then we read some examples of what the instructor thought were good examples of effective creative writing, not just fiction, but all kinds of nonfiction, which is really what I do for a living now, is nonfiction creatively write, for Atlantic Academy anyway. And then they asked us to do it. And we all did. Probably, let's say there was 30 of us in the class, I don't remember. And I wrote my stuff, all of it, turned it in, and they pulled me aside a week later and said, you really need to do this for a living. Well, it turns out I did. There's a lot of stuff that happened in between.
That's cool.
The rest of most of the other people, I think there were 2 or 3 people that really, for whatever reason, they singled us out. It's the same way here. I went into this with interest. I listened, I studied, and I ultimately did my own stuff to their satisfaction, and went on to do some portion of it all the way through my career. That's what Land Academy is. A lot of people are going to go through it, and it's just not going to follow through. And so I think I brought a lot of natural ability in the end to the table in the beginning. The way that one stack of resumes did. A lot of stuff they brought to the table on their own.
Correct.
So this notion of the title of, how we created these pro land investors, individuals with zero experience, they did have some experience.
Right.
They don't have experience buying and selling land probably, or buying and selling houses.
Right.
But they came with the right attitude.
Right.
And the right, you can call it attitude, with the right goals, maybe the right work habits. They came to the table with something.
Exactly. Thanks. Happy you could join us today. Monday through Friday, you can find us right here on the Land Academy Show.
Tomorrow, the episode on the Land Academy Show is called Urban Exodus is Real. You are not alone in your real estate ambition. This is a title I wrote.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you found our content valuable, and we appreciate your support. If you haven't already, please zip over to our YouTube channel and hit the subscribe button.
And your comments and suggestions help us create the type of content that you're here for. Hitting the like button on your favorite episodes helps to support our channel's algorithms to gauge your interest for future shows. It's all about the data.
We are Steven Jill.
Information
and inspiration
to buy undervalued property.